back to episode 31 of The Awakened Avoidant.
Ooh, 31.
We made it.
I like it.
I appreciate you for joining us. We have today Miss Mandy Delp. She is a geriatric
Social worker.
social worker. Medical geriatric social worker, right?
Sounds like a big old mouthful. Basically, I'm a social worker first and foremost, but the only population that I feel that I can serve without going sideways is older adults. Because I tried working with kids. I don't have any.
Yeah.
So I didn't feel like I was real valuable there. Drug and alcohol, takes one to know one. No, thank you. And then like homeless populations, immigrant populations, there's so much that you can do. But I found that I'm very selfish and I wanted to continue learning every single day. So working with older adults, they've been through and seen and done more than I can ever imagine. So it's really just a selfish move, working with older adults.
I like that for you.
Thank
That's
you.
interesting. So I guess it's like all industries, like sort of like service industry. You're serving people. The service industry is challenging because people can be challenging.
Can I tell you, I just said that this morning. I said, every job has its pain points because it's people dealing with people. I mean, even assembly lines, it's people dealing with people because I'm sure the person beside you, left or right, is probably not working at the same caliber that you are. So yeah, service to others.
Yeah.
My favorite tagline for myself is we rise by lifting others. So in candor, it's the one population that I have tons of patience with too. Infinite amounts of patience. Ask me to, it's pretty interesting. I have one sister, she's an elementary school teacher. I couldn't last a week doing her job. She couldn't last a week doing mine. She's like, oh, I don't even like the smell of hospitals. Now, the bulk of my days are spent in hospitals, nursing facilities, care communities, things like that. Monday, I walked in. I was there to do a home visit, and the poor lady's sitting there naked on the side of the bed. I'm like, hey, how you doing, Mrs. Smith? Time to get you dressed. She said, honey, it's been a long time since I put a bra on. Can you help me? Sure can. You do the heavy lifting, huh? I'll do the other stuff.
Good for you. Yeah, I feel like I wanted to have you on. I think I basically just ask people to come on that I think are interesting or inspiring. And what you do, I feel like you're like doing the Lord's work. I think now, like after having children, people that take care of children in that field, the range, everything in between, but especially there at the beginning of life and end stage of life is very important because it's the most needed, where they need the most care.
Giant cycle of life too. I hate this phrase, but it is absolutely true. Once a man, twice a child. You heard it?
No, I didn't.
Oh,
but yeah, you're right.
Think about it.
Yeah.
Like you start life in diapers.
Yeah.
And so unfortunately you kind of end your life in diapers too. But it's so interesting to me, and I say this to people all the time, caring for children is rewarding, and you see that they are learning and growing and becoming more independent as they grow and they adopt the things that you've taught them. Whereas on the other side, as taking care of older adults, they become more dependent. Like your son probably makes one hell of a mess sometimes, right?
Yeah, he can.
Right. Okay, so imagine that times an adult who knows how to be in the kitchen and do certain things, or the dangers of an older adult. Like they know how to drive cars. Like their muscle memory sometimes reminds them that they can do certain things, but their bodies can't do it anymore. So it's like people think that, oh, well, my parents raised me, therefore I need to take care of them in later life. But it is very, I would imagine that taking care of kids is very fulfilling because they grow up and they become more independent. Older adults become more dependent, and you have to do this whole balance of respect to them, yet they sometimes have the mentation of like a toddler. So it's crazy, not to mention like the physical needs that they have. You trying to shower, Mom? Right? I'm so serious.
If I had to, but am I trying to? No,
Right.
But when the time comes, will I? Of course. Yeah.
Right, but
Absolutely.
and let's be honest, sometimes it gets wild at the end. Like you're bedbound. And I will never, ever forget, not to go too far into this, but like one of the first times that one of our caregivers didn't show up, I'm there, the woman's on hospice, like she's bedbound. She's all of maybe, I don't know, 110 pounds, maybe. So she's a slight little thing, but she's still bedbound. Like she can't turn to the left or right. And I knew that like she had soiled herself and we needed to literally change her diaper. Dude, I'm trying to pick her legs up like you would a kid, put them back.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, you can't do that with an older adult. There's all this technique to it. You gotta roll them this way and such an education.
Is it because the rules say that you need to do it a certain way, or what?
No,
Like, why can't you do it like they're a baby?
Well, you could, but I couldn't pick up their legs. Like they're just dead weight, and
Yeah.
they're longer legs. Like nothing,
Yeah.
nothing in the physics of it makes any sense.
Yeah.
But you would have laughed your ass off at me trying to do it. But I was like, oh, I guess this isn't going to work. And then one of the actual CNAs was, and I love her. Oh my gosh, Adele, she's such an angel. She came in, she says, oh, Mandy, let me show you. And she shows me all this. You got to bunch things up and tuck them here and roll the person this way, then roll them back this way and move this leg. And I mean, there's technique to it. Speaking of Adele, quick story. So I work with older adults and we are basically caregivers, that are doing all the heavy lifting. So I know we'll get to that. But here's a crazy thing. So the workforce with whom I work, they are the real angels. Like I coordinate it and I set it all up and all that stuff. But the actual caregivers, they're the real heroes. But this friend of mine, Adele, she's so lovely. She's from Cameroon over in Africa, tiny little country. Over there, she's a civil engineer that has like 3 degrees. Now, she came over here. Her degrees don't translate over here.
Yeah.
So she's a, $16 an hour aide.
Yeah.
It's crazy to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, you hear that a lot. I assume it's just about schooling and money. They just want people to go back to school and pay for it.
I suppose.
Because
All
you would
right.
assume it transfers, right? Civil engineer, what
Well, you
really
would-
changes from country to country?
Oh, but you also hear of people that are, they're doctors and nurses and medical professionals over in their other countries, and they come over here and they can't practice. So yeah, I guess they do. They want them to go back and become part of the machine over here.
Yeah,
Feed
absolutely.
into the money-making
When I was-
education system.
When I was younger, just like a young kid, older people, they were troubling because they're opinionated, they're telling you what to do, and you don't really want to hear that from them. But as you get older, as I aged out, I started to realize, like, oh, anyone that makes it to 90, for one, it's a blessing, and two, what they must have had to go through to get there is just unfathomable between all the range of emotions, society, losing people, and to be 90, all you can do is clap and applaud them. So now as I get older, like I just have a tremendous amount of respect for them. And a lot of I'm not going to say a lot, but I have a lot of friends that are older people. I almost became part of the geriatric Scrabble community during the pandemic in my apartment building.
Okay,
I didn't get a chance to join, but
I love it.
they were going to let me in.
Well, first of all, kudos. You've won.
Yeah, they were going to let me in.
You've won at life. And honestly, that's huge because also, but I think you probably run the gamut. You probably have some 18-year-old friends that you can clown around with, and you have some like 89-year-old friends.
Prefer.
Older.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
Okay, so fun fact, one of my favorite things and one of my best friends, she's 71. She and her husband live in a 55 and older community. Best thing about my summer, I go to her house, we go to her little clubhouse pool. Average age, 90. Guess who looks hot? That pool? This girl.
Yeah, you're killing it. Yeah.
But it's so true, and I love what you said. Like, they've seen so much. Just think about the technology.
Yeah.
The technology that they've seen, like just the educational opportunities or lack thereof, and all that stuff that and in different socioeconomic classes, like the things that they've had to experience. You're 100% correct. One of the biggest things that I get asked all the time, people are like, oh, you've worked with older adults for, gosh, my whole career, like 25 years. They're like, how old is old? I'm like, well, that is such a relative question.
Yeah.
Because I've seen some really old 58-year-olds and I've seen some really young 98-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's about,
Do you think it's genetics or lifestyle or a combination of both? Like,
well, genetics clearly, but I got to tell you, lifestyle and socialization. But here's the biggest thing, and no disrespect to your gender, dudes get old fast. Dudes get old fast.
You know why? Because we're carrying.
I don't know.
Because we're carrying the bulk of the weight.
Whoa! I call foul
I'm
on
just
that.
saying.
100% no. But you guys get old fast
Yeah.
when you retire, or when you hold on.
Stop moving.
Let me crystallize the thought. When you stop waking up with an intent and a purpose.
Yeah.
So yeah, to your point,
Yeah.
like because you can retire, but if you have to have a lot of hobbies or interests or things that you're going to do, anybody gets old when they just stop waking. I don't care if what you're going to do today is go fill the bird feeder. I think service to others and having something to do. The other crazy thing is, and I watched this with my own stepdad. He retired from teaching, and then he was a house painter. He did all these different things. And as soon as he stopped all that, he realized he didn't have any hobbies and interests. Now he fills his days going to doctor's appointments. Maybe I'm cynical, but like physicians and medical professionals, they get paid to treat stuff.
Yeah.
So if you go to the doctor, how old are you, Sean?
41.
And hold it. Like, even as a 41-year-old man, if you go, they're going to find something wrong with you.
Yeah.
And then you have to decide how you want to deal with that. You're going to treat it, you're going to this, you're going to do that, you're going to monitor it and come back every 6 months. Well, now you're just putting stuff on your calendar. So my stepdad, oh my God. I mean, he's got a lot wrong with him. Every single day he's seeing somebody different. And every different specialist, you think that they're all speaking. They aren't. They don't care.
Yeah.
This one's looking at this, that one's looking at that. Nobody's talking to anybody else. But alas, I sound a little cynical about the healthcare system.
I mean, you know, it has its troubles.
It does.
It's a large system. There needs to be more connectivity, I think. Like what you said, each person needs to know. Like, I don't understand with all the technology why there isn't just one database that has everyone's information that knows, hey, I saw this one, you know, like, why does that exist?
I'm sure it does exist. And electronic medical records, EMRs, if you will,
Yeah.
it's out there. It's a matter of somebody giving a shit. Am I allowed to curse on this?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a matter of somebody giving a shit to stop and read it.
Yeah.
Or to connect the dots. And that's the other piece. They don't. But then everybody's like, oh, you get 15 minutes to go do this. And the other thing is, like, the older generation, and I do love it, and this is changing, they love, if you've got a lab coat and a stethoscope, oh, you might as well have, like, been God himself or Moses that came down from the hill. These older adults will go in, hey, Dr. Smith, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I'm fine. I'm great. Sure, I sleep at night. My bowels are moving fine. They want to paint their best selves. So they'll say anything they can in that 15-minute office visit, but then they're never getting to the real root of the problem.
Yeah.
The older adults also don't talk about what's going on, like, north of the shoulders.
Why do you think that is?
Pride.
Yeah.
I think older generations, we didn't talk about that stuff.
Yeah.
Mental health.
Yeah.
That's when were you first aware of, like, mental health stuff?
I would say recent, probably.
Like last week?
No.
I'm just teasing.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
But probably like last 10 years.
Right.
Because even when I first had my first panic attack, I was in denial when I was 30. So yeah, like last 10 years, I was like, me? Panic attack?
Right.
What the fuck? No way.
That doesn't track.
Yeah, I was like, that's impossible. How could I? But obviously, I'd probably had some mental health issues leading up to it.
And who doesn't?
Yeah.
But back then, everybody kept things behind closed doors, or it was a sign of weakness.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, like, all of that stuff, thankfully, the tides are turning. Maybe sometimes a little too far to certain degrees. But certainly the generations that are 60, 70, 80, 90, they never spoke about mental health. Like, even if there was, like, death or illness and things like that in the family, you just tamped it all down and got on.
Yeah, just swallow it. Which is the worst way, I realize in my own personal life, like suppression of emotions. It's the worst thing that you can do with emotions, because at some point it's going to spill over. You're just bottling it up, and more than likely that's probably what the reason for panic attacks, the manifest, they're going to come out somehow.
Let me ask you, what kind of emotions were you tamping down? We are going far from the geriatric social work realm, but I'm here for it.
Probably anger, I think.
Oh,
yeah.
Would your anger border on rage?
Probably. Because a
Yeah.
lot of times when I had panic attacks, it was about being angry. But I wasn't like, not rage, but just angry about something small. But obviously it was stemming from a larger picture. So I think a lot of mine came from that.
And anger just swirls.
Yeah.
And it's like a hurricane. It's just gaining momentum.
Yeah.
You got to let it out.
Yeah. And then trying to pretend like you're not angry just makes it worse.
What was your outlet for the anger?
What was my outlet for it?
Yeah.
I just what did I start doing? I don't think I started doing anything. I was gonna say I punched a hole in my window, but I didn't actually do that. This is a bad joke.
But you could have.
Yeah, I didn't though. But I used to be that way though. Like if something would happen, I was a snappy person, younger, but never towards people, but snap on anything. But I didn't know that it was wrong, just because it was the only outlet I had. So something would happen, boom, punch or kick something or kick my car or anything,
Yeah.
punch something, break my hand, and then it would get out. So I'm like, oh, okay, this is the way. And then I realized like this is not the way, but that is the way that I was using.
And you know what? But literally, it's like a carnal reaction. Like and I get that because, I was a little bit, I'll say, spun up today. Let's call it what it was. I was rage swirling.
Yeah.
And I was like, what am I going to do with this? I was so fired up. I had to go like sweat it and forget it. Like
Yeah.
I literally had to almost exhaust myself. But
Yeah.
that is what kind of works for me. Coping mechanisms. I have not always had good ones.
Yeah. Nowadays, I really try to think of the deepest root of the problem. Like where whatever I'm actually angry about, like, is it that thing I'm actually angry about or is it something else? Because I tried the sweating and the running and that never did anything either. It never felt like,
Pissed you off more,
it
huh?
never
Like
felt good
why?
because in the end it was just like, I just did this, now I'm tired, but I'm still mad about the thing, or punching a punching bag. It's just like, I still didn't feel good about the answer being violence, even though it was violence against a punching bag.
Right.
Still, that's what I wanted to do, punch something or someone, something like I had to figure out another way. So just trying to really reflect and just be introspective about.
Dig a little deeper
Yeah,
inside.
Yeah, definitely.
Good.
And now I feel angry sometimes, but not the same way.
You are a different level of calm.
Yeah.
Like I haven't seen you since the pandemic. So what's that? Would you believe it's going on 5 years
Yeah, that's
since that
crazy.
pandemonium?
Yeah, we just split ways.
Can I hold on a second? And I want this to be videographed forever and ever. Amen.
It's gonna be.
You were the first person,
Got the hell up out of here.
only person, who said to me, "The fuck are you talking about? Like this is a big deal. Are you not paying attention?" Because I saw you at the gym and I was like, they better not close this gym. Again, because it was my outlet. It was where I went to like, leave work, come home, be a better person. And I was like, close things down for 2 weeks. What am I going to do? Like the overprivileged asshole that I am.
Yeah.
And you were like, what are you talking about? It's a global pandemic. And you called me out and I was like, what's this guy know? Sure as shit. 48 hours later, I was like, oh boy.
Yeah.
You were like, where do you get your information?
I got the hell up out of there quick.
What?
I don't know. I just
But
I
where?
wouldn't say I'm
What?
unusually smart, but just logical and rational, probably logical to a fault. I just figured like, all right, this is a respiratory illness being spread by mouth, and we're all in the gym and everyone's breathing heavy. And
But how
this
did you
sounds like the
know
worst place to
about
be.
it?
I don't know. I probably spent too much time online.
Well, and I'll tell you,
listening to
like,
podcasts.
because bringing it all full circle, it started in nursing homes. It spread like wildfire in nursing homes. And you could do a whole podcast on the detrimental effects of what that all did, because before vaccines and all that other whatever, before we learned to deal with it, were you aware, like, they walled off assisted livings, nursing homes, even retirement communities? Like, you could not see your loved ones.
Yeah.
They had you, like, you'd have to talk through a window. Like, and people with dementia, they couldn't understand that. It was so detrimental to older adults. I don't know.
Yeah, it just came at everyone so fast. I'm assuming, looking back on it now, no one just knew what to do.
Well,
Guessing
kudos
they tried to do the best they could.
to you, because you called me out, because A, it was my profession and I should have been paying closer attention. And B, you were like, how about you get over yourself and get home and put your mask on and wash your hands? And I was like, okay.
Really?
Yes.
How did it really go? I don't even remember this exchange.
I do, because it's not often that like somebody, you were very
Was I rude?
no, definitely not rude. That wasn't the word I was. You were very definitive. Like, I think I was at the little counter.
Yeah.
And I'm coming in talking. Yeah, how you'd see me at the gym for what, 2 hours? I would break a sweat for 15 minutes. I talked, socialized,
Yeah, you were chilling.
chilling. I was making the rounds.
You're the life of the party.
No.
But you were getting busy too.
Well, sometimes. Anywho, I'm getting there. You're leaving, and you caught me talking to somebody saying like, "Oh, I hope they don't close the gym." Blah 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 blah. Can't be that big of a deal. My God, more people die of malaria. And I quoted some kind of nonsense.
Yeah.
And you were like, "Whoop, hang on a minute. This is a global pandemic that is coming like wildfire." And you just like spouted facts, and I remember being like, kind of taken aback. But I was like, And then I went home and I researched it, and I was like, oh, Sean Brockington knew what he was talking about. Yeah. I owe him an apology. And then I succinctly didn't see you for 3 years.
Yeah, I got the hell up out of there immediately.
Yeah.
As soon as I realized what it was, I'm like, I'm gone. Like, I'm not.
Can I ask you?
I'm not here any longer.
Have you had COVID?
No.
Me neither.
No, never got it.
Were you like, were you a crazy person?
No, I actually think that I probably have some sort of immunity to it, just to being associated with it. I was out there the whole time.
Same.
I was out there the whole time.
Because you were in a service profession.
Yeah.
Dude, I was with older adults who were the biggest carriers.
Yeah.
And the most compromised population. I'm out there with the gloves and the mask, but even that, I was like, I'm not really. Has Tiff had it?
No.
Now, Delpy's had it. Mm-hmm. I treated him like a human petri dish. I'm all over him. Everybody that I've known that's had it, I'm like rubbing up on them, spit in my mouth, like not to be gross, but like never had it.
Yeah, no.
So, but I think that there's some of us that maybe have like a blood type or something that maybe doesn't.
Yeah.
Not conducive to getting it.
Yeah.
Not that I'm trying to get it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I didn't get it. I never, nothing.
I'm licking doorknobs and.
No.
That's crazy. But thank you. Did you ever know that you were the first person?
I recall speaking. I do have like a vague memory of that. I don't remember how it went. I recall speaking to a few people about that when we were there.
Well,
it's just like,
yeah,
it makes sense. And a lot of people, I think the statistic you were using, they were comparing it to the flu a lot. I'm like, the math doesn't work like that. Like, this thing has only been around for, you can't use that math. But I think it was just a point that people were trying to use to.
Well, I think we were all trying to make ourselves feel better. Like, it wasn't going to be the thing that it was.
Yeah, and it was.
Oh.
Yeah, it was.
But it was.
Yeah. Big time. I found my neighbor actually in his house, unresponsive, basically dying from COVID. This is one of the older gentlemen I'm talking about that I'm friends with. It was hard.
Can we rewind and replace hard with traumatic? Say more. Tell me more.
Yeah, it was definitely. Well, what happened? I talked to him on the phone regularly. I talked to him one night, and he sounded a little bit. I'm sure you know this better than I know it. I would say he just sounded different, like maybe slightly confused, just like a different version of himself in the way his speech sounded, in the way his words and enunciation. I was like, that's unusual. But he was just fine the other day. And then I talked to him the next day, and he's like, man, I don't feel so good. He's like, but I got the best sleep I ever got in my life. I was like, that doesn't sound normal. I don't think that you should be sleeping well when you're sick. And then he goes to sleep again, and then the next day I didn't hear from him, didn't talk to him. So I go up to his house, and his door's cracked slightly open, and it's a war zone in there. You know, it's like mayhem in his house. And I find him, and he's just kind of like labored breathing, but chilling. And then we called an ambulance, and they said that the blood oxygen to his brain was getting low, and that's why he sounded like that.
Obviously. Oh, yeah.
And he was basically on his way out. And then the ambulance came, picked him up.
And you kind of saved his life.
Yeah, and he lived through it.
Oh, look at you. No big deal. yeah, I did.
He lived through it. It's actually very hard to talk about.
Well, and can I say, like, the fact that you checked up on him 3 days in a row?
Yeah.
That's pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
And
so it was serious. You know, the COVID, I know it was serious.
I mean, it was devastating to a lot of people. I know that it was physically hard for some people and emotionally hard for others. I mean, that's awesome though that you knew enough about that guy to follow up on him and that you cared enough to check him out.
Yeah, he's a friend. You know when you know someone, especially, you know your friends so well. Like, you know how they talk, how they walk, how they sound, and when something's a little bit off, I'm like, that's different. We need to look into that.
Well, I like that you did that for him.
Yeah.
It's awfully kind of you.
Yeah, and he's like 80 something, and he lived through it. But it was after the point when they were putting people on ventilators, so he didn't have to deal with that.
Ugh.
I heard that was problematic for a lot of people, maybe the wrong thing to do. So he ended up getting the vaccine, and he survived.
Are you vaccinated?
I am.
Okay.
Not by choice, but
I was going to say, I would imagine that you're a very thoughtful person.
Yeah.
And that you probably have done your deep research, weighed your pros and cons.
Yeah. At the end, I got leaned on a little bit, so I took it.
I feel you.
It was more for my son.
Got
because
it.
That part, because I didn't know the answer to that, yet, as far as how it affects kids, so I'm like, if I do catch it, I'm not going to be the one to take out my newborn child.
Correct.
So if I can do this, let me just do it. I'd rather risk my life than his. So, if there were any adverse effects to the shot, I'll take them. But I'm not going to catch it, give it to him, and take him out.
Believe it or not, the worst that I ever felt was after the second vaccine.
Yeah.
First one, no problem. Second one, But
not great.
Necessary evil. Same thing. Like if I wanted to be in direct care, which I had been the whole time, I don't know. There was a lot. It was a crazy time to be in healthcare, and it was interesting because again, you remember back, everybody's like applauding frontline workers and healthcare heroes, and oh my God, and blah blah blah. Let me tell you, I was out and I was wearing scrubs because I was literally on the front lines doing stuff. Again, as I mentioned, trying to diaper people and everything else.
Yeah, doing the Lord's work.
But if I was at like CVS or somewhere in public, grocery store, and I was in scrubs, people would stand back from me a country mile.
Yeah.
Because it was like I was a walking germ.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you guys are talking out of both sides of your mouth. Healthcare heroes, let's applaud you and all this stuff. Yet you want to stand so far away from me.
Yeah.
But that's just life, right?
Yeah.
That's life.
Fear. In the beginning, there was a lot of togetherness, like initially. That lasted for like 3.5 minutes.
Bro,
And then
3.5 minutes. Boy, you're giving it grace. I gave
Yeah.
it 2.5 minutes. But yeah. Oh, yeah. Then it became divisive, just like everything else in this world.
Yeah,
Just like everything else.
a lot of fear.
Fear. You know what, though? You've heard the acronyms for fear.
No.
Oh, FEAR. Fuck everything and rise.
Oh, yeah?
That's what I do with it.
I like that.
Well, I
that
mean,
makes sense.
Or,
Got to confront it.
hey, it's what you got to do a lot of times in this life. So let me ask you this. Do you think you were born an old soul? Or you only have gravitated towards older adults in your latter years?
Latter years.
Because you have more in
Definitely.
common with them.
Yeah, for sure. And I just prefer the personality of them. I think because of the way that I present, and always being a larger person and not smiling, to a lot of people that's threatening. Older people, they don't get that from me, so
Yeah.
they don't like approach me or talk to me a certain way. They just don't look at me as a threat. So they're, nicer, probably a little unguarded, just relaxed. And I'm a man, to an older man, like I'm no challenge to him. He doesn't care about me. We're way so many different years apart. So we're just relaxed around each other.
I like
There's
it.
never any weird arguments. No, I didn't say this to bother you. Like,
And
it's all
isn't
good.
it, like, not to jump into it, but like you get around your peers, like people your age, and it seems like everybody wants to talk about the same things, and it's sort of, sometimes it's, all right, I hope you edit this part, or you can put it wherever you want it.
Yeah, definitely not edited.
Bananas to me. You get in a group of people our age, and I'm talking like anywhere between 25 to 45, right? I might be on the upper cusp of that, and it is so crazy to me. People talk about getting fucked up and sex, which are two of the most personal things. Like, first of all, yeah, you want to get all hammered and wasted and crazy. That was cool maybe like many years ago.
Yeah.
But tell me, like, you get with a group of people and it is so crazy, and I don't understand why they do it, but I cringe because it happens every single time. I assure you, when I go to dinner at my 71-year-old friend's house, we're not talking about either of those things.
Yeah.
But you have like conversations that matter.
Yeah.
And they offer perspective. And there's much more like dialogue. It's not just a bunch of like dumb fuckery, if I can say that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like all those things. Yeah, I probably have just more in common with them based on the way that I live my life. You know, I'm just like a little bit slower.
Right.
I'm not going to bars. Like even at that point in time in my life, I knew it wasn't forever. Like I just couldn't imagine being my age now and still going to bars. Like, 20, we're gonna go to the bar for 20 years?
Yeah, let me tell you though. Okay, so
No judging, just not for me.
no, and since you threw me the softball, I'm going to hit it. I called them my own roaring 20s. Like I had my roaring 20s. I was a late bloomer to the drinking scene. Thank God I didn't do other drugs. Weed made me paranoid. Thank God I never tried coke because I'd be off to the races. I'd be skiing down slopes of cocaine. Are you kidding me? But my drinking, off to the races. I stopped drinking at 30, which tells you how, well, yeah. But let me tell, just like you, I assume that people grew out of that. I cannot tell you how many people are still living in their late 40s the way they did in their mid 20s.
Yeah.
But I think when you're using or abusing drugs and alcohol, you stop maturing. So people that started drinking or using addictively at 25, they still have the mentality at 25.
That makes sense. You can
Well,
be right about that.
And like, okay, take for instance, my sister, no shade, but she's my older sister. So there was a time, you know, that certainly I looked up to her. And then she and I both started probably drinking alcoholically at like 25. No, I was probably earlier.
Good for you.
Mm-hmm.
Late.
Oof, well, she was probably earlier. Anywho, so she's my big sister. So there was a time when we were both, you know, if she stopped maturing at 25 and I caught up to her at 25, we both probably hung out there for too many years. Acting a fool, doing dumb stuff. I'm the only one that got arrested for it, but spent a little time in County Popo for it too.
Oh,
but then you get sober. Now she's still at 25 and here I am at 46. Like now I look back at her and I've surpassed her in maturity because she's over here and I'm up here with a clear head and clear eyes to look back at things. And she still does dumb shit like a 25-year-old.
Yeah.
And I struggle, but I struggle with her choices, but they're hers.
It's impressive to me. I guess your body over time just gets conditioned to withstand that poison. And I cannot wake up the next day feeling like shit and just losing a day and just the way you feel. And then doing that over and over and over again, the damage that it's going to have on your body long term. No, thank you.
When you're a true, okay, did you ever spend, they say it takes 28 days to form a habit. Did you ever drink for 28 days straight?
No.
See, you say it like that's the most absurd thing.
Yeah.
There was a time when I didn't have a sober day in 4 years.
Yeah.
I had the stomach flu and I still choked down vodka.
Damn.
Because here's the thing, when you're physiologically addicted, the withdrawal is worse than a hangover because you're shaking, you're sweating, you're shitting yourself. It's a hot mess. Ain't that a picture?
Yeah.
But it's true. Like, and I remember trying, even my husband now, I'll try to explain it to him. He's like, how could you do that? And I was like, when your body's addicted, how can you not do it? Like people that are dope sick. You think, oh my God, you're going to go back and shoot that into your veins? Yeah, because it's the only thing that makes you feel better.
Yeah, the alternative is much worse.
And the same thing with alcohol. Actually, fun fact, not fun fact, withdrawal from alcohol is the most dangerous withdrawal.
Yeah, you can die from it.
Seizures. Okay, my best friend's husband, everybody thinks that like cirrhosis and you just die this long, tragic death of alcoholism. No, they were driving to counseling. Sorry, Jess. But they were driving to counseling, marriage counseling, for their 800th time with their 3 kids and everything else that they have going on. And he said, she's driving, and he goes, I can't see. Stop the car. I can't see. And she's like, what are you talking about? She's driving. She looks over at him. He's slumped over. His pancreas exploded. Really, pancreatitis. Look it up. You're a smart dude. Acute pancreatitis, big side effect from acute alcoholism. His pancreas exploded, insulin, that's what it's responsible for, insulin all throughout his body. He goes blind, stops his heart. She drags her husband out of the car, unsuccessful CPR. He dies. He was 38. She was a
Damn.
widow with 3 kids.
So
Have her on the podcast.
Was this person an alcoholic at the time?
Oh, yeah. You want to know
okay.
what else is crazy? The same thing that killed him was the same thing that was his livelihood. They live in Baltimore, and like south of the Mason-Dixon line, I don't totally understand it, but like, you know how we in Pennsylvania, we have state stores and stuff?
Yeah.
But now you can buy alcohol at
Anyway,
Wawa,
yeah.
and I don't know, down
It's
south
strange, right? To get a beer on the go. I don't get it.
so
either.
weird.
Yeah.
But south of the Mason-Dixon line, like they have liquor reps. I don't know how it's divided. It's divided by counties or zip codes or something like that. Anyway, he was a Jägermeister rep. He basically got paid to drink for a living. He went, so the same thing that afforded him a $1.2 million house
Damn.
is the same thing that killed him.
That's interesting, huh? The duality in life.
Crazy.
Holy shit. That's a lot. Yeah.
That is a lot. We got pretty far from older adults.
Yeah. But I drank pretty hard when I was younger. That's probably why I stopped. I don't know. I try to learn from everything I do, you know? And I started early, you know, like 15, 16 years old. We were drinking, you know, around our area, you know, where I'm from.
My husband, he was drinking at the bus stop to go to school
Yeah, we weren't doing that. But
in 7th grade.
yeah, we were skipping school and all types of stuff. But yeah, we started earlier. So by the time I was 25, I was maxed out. I'm like, I'm done. I'm not doing this forever. Even anything. I used to smoke, but I knew all things that were bad habits and vices, like, I'm not going to do it forever. You know, I'll enjoy life a little bit, mess around, but at some point, I'm just stopping.
Well, I think you're probably a more evolved human than a lot of people. Plus, you never physiologically got addicted? Like your body.
Oh, yeah. To smoking, yeah. Not drinking.
How did you decide to stop smoking?
I just stopped.
Like, are we talking cigarettes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
A pack a day?
Yeah, like a regular person.
Really?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I was a smoker. I think even when
You have those nice white teeth, and you would ruin them with
Yeah.
smoking.
I've been trying to work on getting them whiter, but yeah. And that and the smell and just all the disgusting stuff that comes with smoking. So yeah, I just stopped. I think I quit one time for 2 years. I started again, and then I stopped again, and then I just stopped. But most of it was for my son. For me, it's like, I don't know, I'm really bound by morals and ethics, so much so that it becomes problematic. Like, sometimes I want to break away from them, but I can't. It's just like in my DNA. I cannot do wrong things, and I know that if I smoke, I know my son's likeliness of smoking is much greater. So it's impossible for me to smoke. I can't do it.
Where did this come from?
Gift and a curse.
Agreed.
Yeah, gift and a curse.
Anybody else in your family this way?
I don't know.
Next
I don't know.
podcast, stay tuned.
But my mom used to smoke and she quit too, so
Really?
yeah.
When did she quit?
Same age I did, 35.
Really?
Yeah, unbelievable, right?
And did she have a reason? Hopefully you.
Nah, because I was already older by then.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I guess she just figured she didn't want to do it forever either.
Well, and it's expensive.
Yeah, that part
Crazy
too.
expensive.
But really, it's the kid part. Even me, like, I don't even really want to be drunk in front of my kid. Not wasted. Like, I just don't want him to. Why would you want me personally? I just don't want my child to see me that way, and I don't want him to think it's okay.
Because you're also making a better generation. That is something that I struggle with now because it's a big reason why I have no kids because I don't have great coping mechanisms, and I would imagine you have to have patience. You have to have a lot of reserves to be a parent. I don't have them. I also have a partner who's selfish.
Yeah.
But that's cool. Like, I get it. Our cards are on the table. And I have to know that your time is not really your own when you're a parent. And I would be that drunk person driving through the McDonald's park. Your kids want a Happy Meal again? I would be a mess.
Yeah.
So I actually find that it's a responsible choice for me to have not had kids.
So how do you deal with the older population but have little tolerance for younger? How's that work?
Thank you for the question. I have no clue. However, blessing and a curse, and I think it's cooked into my DNA because my mother will tell me that I was sort of an old soul too. Like, the neighborhood kids would all be running around and doing all the different things, and I'd be sitting on the back porch with the older adults. Like, I just wanted that. Or I'd be my mom tells some story about a sports banquet that I was at, and Like all the kids were running to go do this and that, and I was waiting to make sure that like my grandparents were getting out to their cars safely and stuff. So she tells me like it's always been cooked in there. Um, I don't know. I just do. Like I just think that I have a different level of respect for it. I don't know. It's cooked into the DNA, blessing and a curse.
Yeah, and you want to treat them kindly because you know one day that's going to be you. The reason why I befriended my neighbor originally is because I was just thinking he's this old black dude, black gentleman, lives by himself. So I'm like, man, let me help this guy. I don't necessarily believe in karma either, but I just feel like maybe it will come back to me if I do something nice for this fellow.
I would have to imagine that your karma's at a pretty good vibration these days.
If it exists, I hope so.
I think so. Let me ask you this. You mentioned like that could be you one day.
Yeah.
Do you foresee yourself as an older adult?
Yeah, absolutely.
Really?
Yeah, for sure.
See, that's interesting to me.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yourself or me?
I think I'm here for a good time, but not for a long time.
Really?
I don't know why.
Yeah.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah.
Make sure you come and speak at my funeral if I check out.
But you take good care of yourself and do the right things.
I don't know. Skin cancer might get me one of these days.
Oh yeah.
Or you have no idea.
Yeah.
You have no idea. You could take. One of the other crazy things about my industry, so most of the people we take care of are older adults. I would say the bulk of them are over 80. Again, when people pass, people are like, how do you deal with the death and dying? And like, it is a celebration more often than not. When we hear that our clients or our patients die, it's usually cause for celebration because they're no longer in pain. They're no longer in discomfort. There's a lot of conversation around quality versus quantity of life, and I'm here for that.
Yeah.
Hospice, all that jazz. I could talk your ear off about that. But the one thing that gets me, we serve a big population. We probably have like 40 clients that have ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. Terrible.
Ice bucket challenge.
And it's not to freak you out, but there's a huge population of people in the Doylestown to North Wales area that have ALS. And a lot of them have worked in the healthcare profession. I don't know what it's about. Don't really know. Again, a lot of things that freak me out. I don't want to understand or I don't want to research too much.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a large population of people that we serve that have ALS, and sometimes it can go very fast.
So basically, you can catch it, is what you're saying.
I don't think you can catch it. I think it's something genetic. But if there is some sort of strange environmental factor, I don't know. And a
That's
lot of them,
interesting. Has it ever been studied, or is it just something that you saw yourself?
I'm sure somebody has studied it, but I just know that in the last 12 years that I've worked in this area, we've cared for myriad different people, nurses and doctors, very, very bright intellectual people that have suffered with the disease. And sometimes it has just robbed them of everything.
Damn.
I know.
Yeah. I worry about that from playing sports. Like, my memory has definitely been shattered since my youth. And from my motorcycle accident, I know that there was a decline. And just many times I've been knocked out.
Really?
Oh, yeah, like 4 times. And I'm like out, like cold for long periods of time.
Really?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I mean, in the industry, we call them TBIs, traumatic brain injuries,
Yeah, a bunch of those.
concussions, all of it.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah, so I worry about that. Even now, I know my memory is fading, but I still see myself getting old. I didn't used to. I always thought I was going to go young, honestly, for some reason. I don't
Well,
really
I think
know
you
why.
lived a little faster than some.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, you're
Speculating.
right. Yeah, you're right about that. That had a lot to do with it, for sure. But then I changed my life, and I don't really fear death anymore
Right?
at all. Like,
Well-
I'm kind of excited for it, but like I don't want to die, but I'm okay with it. I just plan on living my life as full as I can in between.
It's bookends, right? I mean, none of us are getting out of here any different.
Yeah.
But kind of, I mentioned the hospice word a couple minutes ago. Like, that is, again, something that I hope is changing. Like, what do you know about the word hospice?
I don't know anything. I know it's the just end of life care, right?
There it is.
Yeah.
Well, look at you.
Oh, is that all it is?
No, not really.
Oh,
But,
okay, sorry.
I mean, it
I
is.
summed it up perfectly.
But it is. It is end of life. But it's end of life care. P.S. Okay. By definition, it's basically like you've got something that's most likely going to take you out within 6 months.
Okay.
For some people, it's a lot of people associate it with like cancer, but you don't have to have cancer. You could just have old age, failure to thrive. Like you can have end of life dementia. You can have all kinds of different things. End stage Parkinson's, end stage kidney failure, like anything that's progressive. And hospice is basically like more of a philosophy. You're saying like, I don't want to ping pong back and forth to the hospital and have a bunch of heroics. Like, I don't want to be intubated. I don't want a feeding tube. I don't want, like, you just want sort of life to take its natural course, and you're not going to do a lot of things to stop yourself from dying. Like, people say all the time, oh, I don't want to be resuscitated, like a DNR. You ever heard that?
Yeah.
Okay. Here's the crazy thing. When you're an older adult, say I'm like a little old lady, I'm 92, I weigh 85 pounds soaking wet with weights in my pockets. If I say that I want to be resuscitated, do you realize that that's CPR? Somebody is going to jump on you and do chest compressions, probably break every rib in your rib cage.
Yeah.
Mouth to mouth, whack, whack, whack.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
holy shit.
It's a
To
lot.
bring back what?
Yeah, it's a lot for a person of that age and that
Right?
condition. Yeah,
But there, it is a chasm of like, some people are like, oh yes, I want to be kept alive by every stretch of the imagination.
I love that you just did the sound effects.
Whap, whap, whap.
Yeah.
But it's so true. And like, all it really is education, you know? Like if you stop and you tell somebody like what actual CPR for an older adult looks like, oh, you want to have all those broken ribs in there?
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to wish you were dead.
Yeah, for anyone, right? I don't know if this is true, but I've heard that if done correctly, that ribs often do crack. Right?
Oh,
Is
it's
that the case?
awful.
Yeah, even on a healthy older person.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so hospice is basically saying like, hey, something is probably going to take you out in the next 6 months. Cool. I mean, that's just science. And it's how can we make these, however much time you have left, how can we make it comfortable and dignified? And like people freak out. Oh my God, you're gonna zap them with morphine and you're gonna gork them out till the end of their days. No, we are just keeping them comfortable. And it's not, you're not like hastening their death, but like people think morphine is like a pain medication. It's actually to like slow your respirations and keep you comfortable. And you want to like stay ahead of the pain and the discomfort. So, you know, how do you want to go out? Writhing in pain and reaching for things that you're hallucinating about, or like comfortably laying there looking like Sleeping Beauty? I'm going to opt for option 2, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I had morphine before.
Did you?
Yeah, I didn't enjoy it at first because I had never done those kind of drugs.
Wait, but I'm hoping you had them for. Wait, say more. What
The
the hell?
motorcycle accident.
Okay.
Yeah. Or maybe it was the surgery. I think it was the surgery because I got a nerve graft. It was a pretty big deal.
A nerve graft, though.
Yeah, and that was
In your-
11-hour surgery.
In
Yeah.
your arm?
Mm-hmm. Yep, take it from my leg. 11 inches of nerve from my leg, and they weaved it in through my shoulder. And that was 11-hour surgery, and it was brutal.
And that was after the motorcycle accident. How much after?
2 years.
And how? Ooh.
Too long, actually.
Because things were starting to fuse their own way.
Yeah, yeah.
How long were you laid up from the motorcycle accident?
2 years, I guess. Yeah, about 2 years.
You know who else you should have on this fancy pod?
Who?
Sean Griffith.
Oh, yeah, I know him.
He was in.
An accident, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He was in a wheelchair for like 2 years.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. He'd be interesting. And he's got the business and everything.
Yeah.
That's a good suggestion. I should reach out to him.
Let me tell you, I mean, listen, you know about the different Seans at the gym.
Not really.
Well, he was. Oh, there. You didn't.
No.
You might have to cut this too. There was Skinny Sean. He was Skinny Sean.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
There was Skinny Sean, Old Sean. He was a friend of mine. Well, you were Black Sean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
By definition.
Yeah, I'm Black Sean.
There was Dirty Sean.
Really? Oh, okay, okay. I think I know you're talking about. Yeah, yeah.
There was a half a dozen of you guys.
So that's a thing at the gym? That was a thing?
That
The
was
different Seans?
totally
Oh,
a
I
thing.
didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
We-
Was I just Black Sean?
Well, I mean, you were Big Black Sean.
Oh, okay. I'll take
Yeah,
that.
BBS.
Yeah, I like
Yeah. I mean, listen, you asked.
Yeah.
But he was Skinny Sean.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
He's not quite as skinny anymore.
Yeah,
He's
I see.
married. Interesting.
Yeah.
He and his wife, they're a good time.
Yeah, very. So how did you initially
Yes.
get into what you do now? Like what led you did you do things before? Did you notice what you wanted to do?
Well, bringing that one full circle, if my mom had anything to say about it, I was probably always made for this life. But if you ask me in my high school years and all that, I thought I wanted to travel. And I initially went to college as like an international relations major, blah, 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 blah. But I lived in a third world country.
Really?
How about them apples?
What? Which one?
Ecuador.
Oh, really? Nice.
Don't fact check me on whether it's a third world country or a second world country because I'm not 100% sure that
We'll just
differentiation.
call it a developing nation.
Thank you, sir. That's pretty much where I would go. But so I had to choose my college. So I went away my senior year of high school. So I had to like pick my college, pick my majors, pick all that stuff, and I thought I was going to travel the world and do all these cool things and like live this high, big, fancy life. But this is crazy. So my entire high school career leading up to, I walked to school. I lived close enough that I could walk to my elementary, I could walk to my middle school, heck, I could even walk to my high school. Never took a bus. My senior year, damn, I go to Ecuador, I have to ride a bus. I'm the first asshole to get picked up and the last one to get dropped off. Long ass commute to my school. But every day, on the bus ride, I would look out the window and it was such an impoverished nation. And they had like tent cities. And the disparity between like the very wealthy, like I lived with a wealthy family and we had maids and servants and they lived worse than the domestic pets that we had. It was crazy to me. I got in so much trouble with my host family because I would address the domestic help with as much respect as I would my host parents. That was not good.
Really?
Oh no. It was crazy. That's a whole nother pod.
Yeah.
A whole nother time. So I would see this like haves and have-nots, and one day they had like military police. Like that was how they police. They had armed guards on the street corners. And they would have these like military police go in and like just slash and burn entire tent cities. And people were living in cardboard boxes and their whole village would be like demolished in a day. And I was like, what the fuck is going on around here? So I realized like you don't really change things by, I don't know, traveling all around and making big business deals and brokering all this shit that I thought I was going to grow up and do. But you change things like one person at a time. So that's kind of how I came to social work. And then I'll be honest, I needed a paid internship in college. I needed a roof over my head, needed to pay for books, needed to pay for my college tuition. So the two places that were paid internships were Children and Youth and the Office of Aging. And like I said, I don't know shit from Shanghai about kids. And I sure wasn't going to go in there as a 20-year-old college kid intern saying, excuse me, you look like an unfit parent. We're going to have to take this kid from you. We're going to put him into the foster care system. That wasn't for me.
Yeah, it's tough.
So, Office of Aging it was. And it was the best decision I ever made that then steered the entire rest of my life.
That's interesting. Learning so much about you. I didn't know anything about
Well.
the Ecuador thing.
Ecuador, let me tell you, and I got mugged when I was down there.
Oh, really?
I caught my own mugger.
Delightful.
Yes,
Really?
I did.
You chased them down?
I got to tell you, so it was this crazy day. There was all these people, and I'm not short. I'm a little taller. Everybody in Ecuador, very short statured, very dark skin, dark complected, dark hair. I stood out like a sore thumb. And all I know is I had only been down there for like a month and a half maybe. And I'm at this like open air market kind of thing. So I'm already standing out like a sore thumb. And back then I'm wearing the little backpack, looking like a dumbass tourist.
Everything but the sign that says mug me. Yeah.
Correct. So everybody starts pushing and jostling around. There was this truck that was selling these helados de Salcedo. I don't even know what the fuck they were, but everybody's pushing for them. And this woman grabs me and she says, oye, esta mujer tiene sus cosas. And I'm like, what? My brain translates, this woman has my things. This woman had come up and with like a box cutter, whoosh, right through my backpack, whoosh, reached in, takes my camera, my passport, my money. She took it all. And I must have translated real fast. And I'm looking around. I'm like, what the fuck? I grabbed this woman and I start screaming to my host mom or whatever. And the woman gets freaked out, drops all my stuff and runs away. So I caught my own mugger.
Good job. Good
Thank
for
you.
you.
Thank you.
I thought
Thank you.
that's a pretty good story. I thought you were
I
like chasing someone through the alleys of Ecuador or
Not
some
that
shit
good.
like that.
Not that good.
That's good. Good for you. I didn't know any of this
Well,
stuff
how
about
about
you.
it?
I want.
This is part 2.
Yeah,
I'll have
I
to
like
come
this.
back for part 2.
Yeah, we're going all over the place. We're all over the
Bobbing,
place anyway.
weaving.
Yeah.
It's good.
I wanted to ask you another random question though.
I like
Your
random.
personality. You know, obviously you're an upbeat person, but one I wanted to ask you: are you always upbeat, and do people expect out of you, and do you have a hard time like meeting that demand? That's like 3 questions. I just
That
asked
is
you.
a lot of questions.
Yeah.
I'm going to stall and I'm going to ask you about yourself.
What?
Well, do people always expect you to present in a certain way?
Absolutely not.
Right, because you could be,
Yeah, I'm just
you
wondering.
could be chat. I've met BBS when he's chatty,
Yeah.
and I've met BBS when he is. Oh, I also touched your hair.
BBS Brizzy.
Yo, I also touched your hair one time. You
Mm.
damn near broke my wrist.
Oh, really? Did I touch you?
You took my wrist and you said,
Okay.
you never touch a black man's hair. And I said, noted.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I never did that again.
Good for you.
I also stayed away from you for two months.
Really?
Hell yeah.
That's interesting. We've always had interactions, but we were always cool though.
We were, but I touched your hair.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
don't
I'm
do
not a-
that.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. I don't really like that.
Well, you let me know.
Whether black, white, anyone's like,
Well, I
please don't
shouldn't.
touch me. Yeah.
Well, let me tell you, I still do that. I'm a little bit of a
Yeah.
demonstrative person. I don't know if I could spell that, but I'm going to go with it. I have this new friend, interesting cat. I'm thinking he might have gotten assaulted at some point because I've like clapped him on the back before and he's like, please don't do that. I'm like, ooh.
Yeah, some
Okay.
people don't like it. You know, for me, I've been it's not that I mind it depending on who's doing it, but yeah, I guess I do mind it. You know, because I was bigger at times, so people always feel like they just want to touch me for whatever reason. I'm like, please don't touch me. I don't know you. You know?
Right. Well,
But yeah, I get that a lot. Like men, women, all people. They're just like, oh, you're it's like, don't touch me.
Right.
I don't know you. I
Well-
don't even know where your hand's been. So please don't put them in my hair of all places.
ooh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's all good.
I've never publicly apologized. Sean, BBS, sorry.
Forgiven.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I feel better.
Go back to you though. Personality. Up. Are you always up?
Once I have caffeine in the morning, yes.
Yeah.
Once I'm vertical, I'm good. If I'm horizontal, do not fuck with me.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yep. But my husband, we wrote it into our wedding vows. Like he literally brings me a cup of coffee to the bedside every morning.
Really?
It's good stuff.
Is that true?
It is very true, and I will know that he is leaving my ass when it is not there.
Yeah, things can change quickly.
Indeed. But I will say, once I'm up, I do think that I'm a glass half full person, and I am usually pretty, can I use the word spunky?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But I also know I can be quick to anger, and I get very frustrated, and I also have a very high level of expectation of other people, which pretty much leads itself right into being disappointed or frustrated a lot. So I have to like temper myself. But I also realize that the times that I'm least happy are when I'm not interacting enough with other people. Fun fact, I went on a vacation one time. To some people it would sound like bliss. For me it was torture. We were like on a secluded beach.
Bliss.
No.
You need the people.
Oh, I just want to interact with people that at Wawa.
Yeah.
I want to compliment a stranger.
Yeah, that's you for sure.
Oh,
Yeah, initially, I'll just say a lot for me because I'm not that kind of person. So I guess when I meet people like that, I'm just like, is that real? But you're so consistently that way for so long. I'm like, yeah, it's definitely real.
it's
Yeah,
and
not that.
but you know what? Again, I think I'm actually just a very selfish person. I get a lot by giving. And somebody actually said to me, like maybe just last month, and I was like, wow. They pulled me aside and they were like, you know, you rarely talk about yourself, contrary to what this pod is telling everybody. And they said, but you uplift other people, and you're always quick to promote somebody else and their whatever. And they said I give very, very specific and random compliments, like how white your teeth are.
But they're not really that
No,
like
but
that? I
they
feel
are.
you just throw
Or
them in there.
like
I need help.
I will tell people very specific and sincere compliments.
Genuine.
I hope that they land right.
Yeah.
It's probably borderline sexual harassment at times, but I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna go with it.
Yeah. As long as you're doing it to men, it's okay.
Thank you.
So another question I wanted to ask you.
Yes.
When it comes to, you spoke about hospice before.
Yes.
When it comes to that end stage, that end of life planning,
Ooh.
how do you have that conversation, or
I
let's start
mean,
with that, because I'm also wondering, like, how do families do it? How do they have that with their loved ones as well? Like, what do you do? What do you advise?
okay, thank you. That's a very thoughtful question, and I will tell you, as much as I talk in my professional realm, it's listening. Because you can listen to a family and how they interact with one another and just a few things about what they say, and you can know, are they all about heroics till the very end? Or some of them, they'll say, like, oh my gosh, my dad, he keeps, he's hospitalized, he's got congestive heart failure, and every other week he's back in the hospital, and it's exhausting. I hear those words and I'm like, hey, has anybody stopped to talk to you about hospice? Or there's like a precursor to hospice, which is called palliative care. And like, I'm the first one to say that to people sometimes. And if they shut it down, I don't probe. But knowledge is power. And I say every single day, for myself included, I don't know what I don't know. You don't know what you don't know. You do not know what you don't know. And once you hear it, whether you pick up that tool and you use it as a tool for your toolkit, or if you're going to just put it there and pick it up at another time, knowledge is power. But I do have that conversation with people, but don't be impressed, because when it comes to my own family, I'm a 6-year-old who can't tie her shoes. They have zero credence in what I say. But there was a time when I was upset by that, and I was like, what? How dare they? Other people, are beating down my door for my advice and my guidance, and I get paid for this, and blah, blah, blah. My own family won't pay attention to me. They can't hear from me. If you walked up to my stepdad and said, sir, you got the Parkinson's, you're going to fall, you're going to break a hip, how do you want this to go? They would hear it from you. Can't hear it from me.
Why do you think that is?
Too close.
Yeah.
Too close.
Yeah.
Too close to the situation. Maybe they don't think I'm objective enough. Maybe they just don't think I have the, also, I mean, listen, my mom saw me through some not so glamorous times. She probably thinks, what does she know about any of this?
But now you're a professional and you're
Well,
doing it for a long time.
But not to everybody. Again, I could get spun up about that, or I can say, you know what? I don't argue with perception. Some people perceive me to be an idiot. Listen. Oh, God. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. Okay, let me ask you this. You walk into a room. Oh, I already know this. I already know this answer about you, but I'm going to ask you anyway. You walk into a room full of 100 people that know you pretty well. 99 of them adore you. One says, that guy. Are you going to waste any time with the one person that doesn't, or are you going to try to win them over?
I'm definitely not trying to win them over.
Right?
Yeah.
See, and there's like an inherent difference. I would be convinced that for some reason I had to get that one person to be like, well, why don't you see me the way everybody else does? Again, only in probably the last 7 or 8 years have I realized I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I don't have to be. Because, again, let's say I walk into a room, I would say that probably 65 to 70% of the people are like, oh, cool, Mandy's here. Like, she's fun, she's great, she's she's a good icebreaker. The other 30% of the people, oh, Christ, here she goes. There goes all the air in the room. Like there's some people that probably think I'm an asshole. I'm okay with that.
Maybe. I don't know.
Oh,
That's
don't
an
maybe.
interesting critique of yourself. I don't know. Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe you're just my kind of person. I don't know.
Some people are just like, ugh. Or I have a friend. I love her. Shout out Katie Starantino. She's another good one to have on your pod. Listen, I'll get you a
Yeah,
roster.
let's do it. I need them.
Oh,
Take everyone.
she's so smart.
Having fun combos.
She's so smart. She's a sex therapist.
Oh, definitely got to get her.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
Fun fact. First time I ever hung out with her, like outside of a professional setting, we're like taking a walk, like sweating. We're at Fisher's Park. We're going up the hill, and she starts talking about like, so how do you feel about like butt plugs? And I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Oh, nice.
I swear to you, I jumped into the bushes.
What was
No
the
pun
answer?
intended. I was like, I'm from Lancaster County.
No,
You
sorry
got to
for that.
warm a girl up before you start talking about ass play. Hold on. But I've just realized, like, for her, that's just vernacular. Like,
Yeah.
that's just part of her vocabulary.
Good for her.
No, I jumped. I was
Yeah.
like, gone. Now, she's like one of my best friends, and yeah, on your pod.
Yeah, please. I would love to have her on. We're not going to be talking about butt plugs.
Right, but
yeah,
you think that. You think that.
I'm almost certain.
Well, she might get you.
We won't have much to talk about.
Moving on. Okay, so, I don't know. People, you don't have to win them over. My friend Katie, she is so dear. She says to me, she uses me as like a human barometer. She says that when she meets somebody for the first time, she'll be like, oh my God, Sean, you know Mandy? And however you react to my name is how she decides if she likes you or not. Because if you're like, oh, Mandy,
Yeah.
she talks too much.
Yeah,
She'd
yeah.
be like, not my people.
Yeah, that's a good metric.
You like?
I like that. Yeah, I think I would use that one too. But I feel like that says a lot about you, right?
That I'm somebody's barometer?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's flattering.
Yeah. That
Flattering.
You're the measuring stick for a likable person.
How do you feel about if there's a room full of 100 people? How many? What's your breakdown?
You want to be honest?
Yeah.
I don't even care what 100 of them think about me.
I know you wouldn't, but what? I know you don't, but what do you think the perception would be?
Oh, as far as me,
I would say 50% of them are shit scared of you.
I would say probably 50-50 or maybe 75-25. Like, don't like.
75% don't like you? I think they just
Yeah.
don't know you.
Yeah, but that's
How hard is it to get to know you?
hard.
Right.
Yeah.
Barrier to entry.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you got to jump through some hurdles.
But
for
have
sure.
you always been that way?
Yeah, just because the variation
Hurdles?
of people.
Hold on. You say hurdles.
Yeah.
Those are hurdles that are 18 feet tall, wrapped in barbed wire.
And fire.
How did Trish
Dipped in glue and glass.
I just called her Trish.
That's all right.
How did Tiff, how'd she win you over?
Friends first.
Really?
Yeah, long time.
Long time.
Not very long, but like
Well.
months. Months is a long time for me back in those days.
Well,
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah. So friends first, and then
Where'd you meet her?
the gym.
Really?
But not that gym, a different gym. But yeah, at a gym.
I think I
So
know.
at a regular place, like not a bar or anything like that. Just regular people, regular conversation, regular person. And then it went on further. But that's me. I realized I never cared much about being likable, so I never tried to be likable.
Like never.
No, never.
Not even high school.
No, especially not. Like,
Especially not
I
high
didn't even
school.
go to my own prom. And I had a girlfriend at the time.
Same.
Yeah.
All
I didn't
right.
even go.
Listen.
I never cared about that kind of stuff. I just never was like,
It's
no
all,
big deal.
It's all smoke and mirrors.
Yeah. I didn't even want to go to my graduation. I only went because my mom wanted me to go.
Come on, and you owed that to your mom.
Yeah.
She's a great lady.
Yeah, so I went.
She's great.
But yeah, no, I just never cared. But I realize as I get older, but it is important. Like, I wouldn't advise my son to go through the world that way because it does make things harder. Like, if you don't try to be likable, people aren't going to like you. You know what I mean?
It is.
And that is going to prevent you from moving. And
You were very successful.
yeah.
Think of it that way.
That
You
can
were
stop
very
you.
successful in allowing a barrier to entry.
Yeah, for sure.
Huh.
So, it keeps the circle small and I can control everything, but it also it's stifling too.
But let me ask you this. Okay, so the older you are, 41 years young,
Yep.
how many people in this world do you actually like?
I like everyone.
See, now that's interesting to me. Because here you are, Mr. Barrier to Entry. Tough read.
Yeah.
I'm over here, everybody's like, oh my God, you have so many friends. First of all, anybody who talks like that,
Yeah.
not my people.
That's funny.
Anybody whose voice goes to that octave, oh my God, I haven't seen you in forever. Let's do a book club.
To put on.
Dead to me. DTM, bye.
Yeah.
Dead to me. People think, oh my God, I have so many friends. No, I have plenty of acquaintances.
Mm-hmm.
I have a very small circle of friends. And even of that friend group, I like about 3.5 of them.
Really? That's interesting. I like all people because I like the variation in people. I might not keep a lot of people around me or anything like that, but I still like all people. Like, I love people. I never had an issue with people, just one particular person. But I like people, especially good people. I like good people the most, obviously.
Have you ever seen the book Humans of New York?
No, but
Or there's
I heard of it before.
Oh my God, it's so good. Now here I am. Like I do ingest a lot of social media, but like I try to keep that streamlined too because again, to your point earlier, it's all what people present.
Yeah.
Humans of New York. It's a photographer and he would just find people, take a snapshot, and then some of them it was like a little summary of the person. Some it was more of their story. So good. I'll give it to you. I'll buy you that book. Humans of New York.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How much this thing end up becoming all about me?
I'm as interested as you are about me.
Yeah. I like
About
it.
you.
Thank
Mr.
you very
Barbed Wire. Let me ask you a question.
What? Go ahead.
How many vertebrae does a giraffe have in its neck? Boy, this is there is a hamster on your wheel.
I was thinking about it, so I'm like thinking, like, do they have any? But I don't know. Do they? How many?
How many do humans have?
I don't know that either.
Me neither.
I know L1 through
think
5.
we have-
I don't know.
I think we have 7.
Really?
Giraffes only have 7.
Really?
They're just spaced out different.
Oh, interesting. Why do you know that?
I don't know. How many slices of pizza does an average American eat in a year? I would like to see your...
That I don't know. You know, I didn't eat pizza until I was 18. I never liked pizza. Straight up. Yeah.
I got to speak with your mother. What did she have to feed you?
I don't know. Everything else but pizza. But no, I never ate pizza. And I'm lactose intolerant.
Now,
Yeah.
what would happen if you ate dairy?
My stomach would be jacked.
Yeah.
Yeah, my stomach would be jacked. It gets worse as you get older. Like, the more you punish it with lactose, it actually gets worse. It gets, like, less and less tolerant.
Oof.
So, you know, like...
Terrible.
Yeah.
So you have no cheese in your life.
No, I still do it, but I just shouldn't do it.
My condolences to Tiff and your toilet. Right?
But it doesn't do that. People always think that. No, lactose,
No.
it just hurts your stomach.
Like
Whatever,
cramps you
'cause,
up.
know, yeah, because you don't have the enzyme to break it down, so it's just struggling to digest it, but it doesn't do that to you.
No.
It does make you gassy, though, that's for sure. It's trying to break that up, so yeah, that can be a problem.
All right.
Condolences in that way, but she actually, her nose doesn't work very good, so she's straight.
Get out of here.
Yep, so it's all good.
Wait, her whole nose? For good smells, bad smells, and other?
I guess so, yeah. She don't smell very good. Interesting, right? All the
Hold
different
on.
senses.
Okay, so this I would literally sit here all day with you, but can I get an
crazy,
episode number 2?
Yeah, for sure.
Because I want to bring it full circle.
Go ahead.
I got to tell a quick story about the best man in my life. Look at you. You're like, who dat? Poppy, my sweet, sweet Poppy, World War II veteran, wonderful, wonderful man. Speaking, like, I know we kind of talked about a bunch of different stuff. My Poppy, he died at 96. What a man. Now, he and my mom, least compatible humans ever. She was whip smart. He had to drop out of school in the 4th grade because his own father committed suicide during the Depression. So, like, he's a 4th grade education. Even growing up, like, we'd go out to a meal, and he would always say that he didn't have his glasses, and I had to read him the menu because he couldn't read. Okay, but this is Poppy. The man was he was an angel. They also lost their son. Terrible story there. Got time for this one?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So my mom is the youngest. She has an older sister, and they had Earl Jr., terrible name. He went by Butchie. So sweet, sweet Butchie was climbing in a tree with his buddy, the next door neighbor, fell out of a tree onto a picket fence. Boom. Got him right, snapped off the fence post, went into the kitchen and died in my mom's arms. Terrible, right? So, like,
I should
but...
have maybe paused on that.
Right, I'm so sorry. I should have warned you.
That's
But,
okay.
but, like, again, you take this couple that are so disparate. My grandmother, my grandfather, they were not meant to stay together. Nowadays, they would have been divorced a million years ago, but they stuck it out. They stayed together. Like, my Poppy was an angel who walks among us, like just the best man. Fun story about him. He would,
Please.
yes, we need one after that. I'm sorry, a little heavy.
Mm-hmm.
So he would pepper the shit out of the foods that he would eat, like to the point where the plate would be black, like pepper grinder, like man must have had carpal tunnel.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell? Turns out one day he goes to Walmart, right? He came home. We could smell him from the driveway. He was at Walmart at the perfume cologne counter. He must have put every single scent on because he couldn't smell them. The only two things the man could smell were gasoline and skunk. His olfactory senses didn't work. Crazy. We never figured it out, but that's why he also peppered and salted everything so much, because your sense of smell is so connected to your sense of taste.
Yeah.
Poor dude. I kid you not, we smelled him from a half a mile away. And we laughed and laughed our asses off about that. He had the best stories.
Did he know that?
That he couldn't smell?
Yeah.
I don't think so, because the only things that he could smell, he loved it when he would accidentally spill gasoline on himself, or he called it polecat, skunk, polecat.
A polecat?
A polecat.
I think I'm gonna call it that from now on.
Right? He also
really
called
like that
chipmunks fence hackies.
Oh yeah.
I have no, so random, right?
Fence
And he
hackies.
also said,
Give me some more.
okay, one more poppyism. He was so funny. Angel food cake, which is kind of a waste. It's like just sugar and egg whites.
Yeah.
We were sitting there one day and he was like, I love this cake. And we were like, what? He says, yep, tastes like clean socks. And so to this day, we call angel food, I want some clean socks cake and strawberries. We were like, how the hell would he know what clean socks tasted
It
like?
makes sense to me a little bit though, just like
Really
the
does.
texture and everything. Yeah.
He had the funniest everything. His favorite show on the entire planet, Family Feud, and especially with Steve Harvey.
Oh yeah?
Loved.
That's hilarious.
Loved.
I'm not a super fan.
His teeth are so big.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Personality is too
Too
much.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little trying too hard.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, so my poppy and my mom, God rest both their souls, they were so fun. My aunt, well, this is a long story. Should I save it for part two?
Yeah, save it for part two. Well, you can tell it if you want to.
They were such good people. They were a little crazy. They lived in an RV, like in their later years. It was a converted Greyhound bus. Crazy. But when they started to get older, my aunt had international relationships, Jesus Christ, interracial relationships.
okay.
So my aunt is white,
Okay.
and he asked her to marry him 100 times, but they never got married because they were both professionals. And back in 1971, when they got together, like that wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
But they had this big grand house and they lived together like husband and wife. And when it was time and he always called them Mr. and Mrs. Campbell, my uncle did. Steve Powell, he played in the NBA for a short time.
Oh, really?
Grew up in Chester. Big name, great guy. When it was time for like my grandparents to get older, he insisted that they live with them.
Oh, yeah?
It was the most graceful thing ever. He did not need to love them, and they were smart, kind, wonderful people for the time. You know, like I don't know. They were just good people.
That's interesting. You know, a lot of people I hear, or it seems like people feel like when they get older, like their kids should take care of them. For me, I'm like working my hardest to make sure that isn't the case. I feel like it shouldn't be that way. To put that kind of pressure on your kid at the end of life, like, it just seems strange to me.
It is.
Like, I get it. You know, they can help you, but it shouldn't be on them to take care of you as you get older. I don't think that's not, I'm trying to make it so that's not the
I
case.
could not agree with you more, and I do think that it's cultural, and I think a lot of it it's an expectation, and I think a lot of it is financial.
Yeah.
But you are 100% right, and I do think like years ago. All right, fun fact. You know Gwinnett Square out on Sumneytown Pike? So that used to be a family-owned and 5-star nursing home. Great place. Very sought after. the place to go. Interestingly, about 15 years ago, they sold and to like a corporation. And then because of its proximity to Merck, you have a large Indian and Asian population that work at Merck. And they're first generation in this country. And they saw that their loved ones in India or in Laotia or the Philippines or China or Japan or Taiwan or wherever, Taiwan is Japan, like it was never cultural. Those people, those cultures never believed in things like nursing homes. They considered that warehousing elders. But this generation that worked over here at Merck was like, hey, here's this care community. So then once 3 people placed their older adults in that location, now Gwynedd Square is 95% Asian. So it's so interesting. But people that are now in their 90s that grew up saying, well, when I get old, I want to go and live at Gwynedd Square. That doesn't make any sense anymore, because now you have your older adult, your loved one, who fought in the Korean War, sharing with dementia, sharing a room with Mr. Singh. Like, that doesn't mix.
Yeah.
It's so
Oh,
crazy.
that's interesting. What a circle of life there, huh?
Well, and I'm telling you, it is wild. There's so much that I could talk the ear off an
You need to
elephant
get
about
a
stuff
camera
like that.
crew inside that place.
You walk in and you're like, immediately your nose, you're like, what the hell? But it's because they have like 2 separate kitchens. They have all
culture.
and all this stuff. You're like, what is going on, Toto? We are not in Kansas anymore. No, you're not, because there's like there's like Cantonese being spoken in this dining room and Mandarin being spoken over here, and like it's wild. But you wouldn't know that unless you knew an insider.
Yeah, you know, the one that I know that I'm familiar with that I like is Ann's Choice. You know where Ann's Choice is over in, it's like
Warminster?
Warminster, yeah. That's a real nice one. I feel like around here that's the one most people want to go to and want to get to.
So let me ask you this question. So where'd you go? Did you go to college?
No.
Okay.
Well, it's Monco, but no.
You went to college.
Yeah, sort of.
So Ann's Choice is Penn State.
Yeah.
I'm not a big campus girl. Let me tell you, the math doesn't math over there at Ann's Choice. Yes, it's a nice place, but there's 2,500 older adults. The math doesn't math. There's 1,500 independent living apartments, right? Well, nobody that's moving in there is independent, because if you were truly independent, you'd probably be living in your own home, right?
Yeah.
So that's the big thing. It's so crazy. If you really want to get into the weeds about it, I could talk all day about this stuff. Like, these continuing care communities, they don't make any sense, because they have these independent living apartments, and then they have a tiny little assisted living, and then they have the healthcare center. But the math doesn't math, because people's lives aren't linear. There's the person over here that has a stroke at 76 and now has to live the rest of their life in the healthcare center, and like, monetarily and space-wise, it doesn't make any sense. It's crazy.
Yeah, the math is definitely mathing for Ann's Choice, though, because I imagine that 300 a pop that just rolls over forever. Yeah, I get it.
But that's also where companies like mine, we're in there. So for instance, the company I work for, we're in Ann's Choice. We have over 45 clients in there. Some of them have live-in caregivers. Like, I was on the phone in the parking lot before I walked in here with a gentleman who has a live-in full-time caregiver.
Live inside of Ann's Choice?
Oh, yeah. So in his apartment, he has a 2-bedroom apartment, and he needs care. In fact, he's kind of a hot mess. He's got some cognitive impairment. He's got a lot of physical issues. So he needs round-the-clock care. And instead of going to the healthcare center, he hires our company. So he has this wonderful caregiver living with him. But here's the thing. How independent is that? You're still living in independent living, but you have a full-time living caregiver. But economically, that's less expensive for him than living over in the healthcare center in a little tiny half a room. I could go deep into this stuff with you.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's also unfortunate that it is based on economics and that only certain people have access to that.
You
And
aren't
people that
in.
don't. I personally, I would say in that aspect, I'm not into politics, but liberal minded as far as that goes. I think that anyone that makes it to that age should be able to afford or should be afforded the luxury of like, exiting decently.
I couldn't agree with you more. Therefore, hospice is a Medicare benefit, but hospice doesn't pay for round the clock care. That pays for a little drop in the bucket. Here's the crazy thing. Joe Middleman gets screwed. Either you have to have enough money, hundreds of thousands of dollars, to be able to buy yourself into an Ann's Choice or Shannondale or any of these places that say they're going to take care of you for life. Or you want to be destitute but smart. And you want to be living in like senior subsidized housing. I know all the best ones. You can be my neighbor. Joe Middleman expected to pay for all their own care.
Yeah, that's interesting. Most people I know, they sell their house, they move into Ann's Choice, they give them the big lump. Like you said, who knows, they might only live another 5 years and then they just roll that over to Ann's Choice is like the greatest shit in the world. Not to talk bad about Ann's Choice or anything. I don't really know the interworkings of the business, but I've seen a little bit of it. Yeah, I've seen a little bit of it.
I mean, listen, actuaries, they're making good money for those places because they're looking at, how old you are. How long you might live and what your financial resources are. And they're rolling the dice.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
the shorter the better.
I will say, if you're going to get older, keep me in your back pocket.
Yeah.
Teach you all the...
Absolutely. One more super random question here. This is just like probably a me question. Probably everyone's wondering, but I'm curious. You know how they say in nursing homes, are they active in nursing homes? You know how they say, nursing homes, like, are people
getting their swerve on?
Yeah, are they still getting after it in nursing homes? You hear that a lot?
Yeah.
Yeah, it still goes down?
Well, I would tell you more in places like 55 and older communities, places like the Villages down in Florida where it's like all older adults living independently.
Yeah.
Oh, they're getting freaky. But
so it goes on forever, basically.
Forever.
Yeah, it never ends.
Can I tell you a crazy story though? Yeah. This is wild. There's a place which shall not be named, down in shall not be named, so I won't give it its location either. But here's the thing.
Good for you.
Like memory units, like places where people are truly like dementia advanced, and it's a secure unit so people can't wander out and whatever. A lot of crazy shit goes on in there. There was a place locally, and listen, I always say nursing homes are more tightly regulated than like NASA. It is governed by the Department of Public Health. It is tight. There's so many checks and balances for everything that goes on in these places. So there was a care community, and within their little memory unit, there was 20 little apartments. There was one guy, and he was raping other residents because they couldn't consent. And when I'm telling you, like, men, women, here's the crazy thing. The staff reported it to the director of nursing and the executive director, and those two people covered it up.
Oh, no.
And now they're in jail, as they should be, because they weren't inciting it. It wasn't like they were, it's cognitive.
They covered up a crime.
They covered up a crime.
Yeah.
Crazy. So that happened. That happened like a year and a half ago. Yeah. I mean, I could go off about that. Another one, in another care community, again, all memory, there was a woman, she was very young. Sometimes, unfortunately, the younger you are when you're diagnosed with like Alzheimer's or some other kind of dementia, the younger you are, the faster it progresses. So this woman, she had some good plastic surgery. Hell, she looked better than I do. Now, you would think she was a visitor, right? So she got aggressive with another resident and pushed her. And the lady had no reflexes. She fell, smashed her face, bled out and died. When the cops came in, they took a look at the one resident and they were ready to charge her with homicide. No. Like, she had a primary diagnosis of dementia. Like, it wasn't, she was aggressive. Yeah, she was combative, but that happens all the time. Yeah. But like, crazy shit happens in these places. So I know you want to know about them getting their swerve on, but other crazy shit happens too.
Yeah.
But you're like reduced down to like, it's carnal stuff,
Yeah, that's interesting.
Sex,
like how you
fighting.
Yeah, but like,
It's
you
not
know,
the
like
wild, wild west out
the
there, but
entry, how you start as babies and you have to be like domesticated into like a civil human, and then it starts going backwards as you
once a
age.
man,
Like
twice
you
a
go back.
child.
Yeah, that's
Once
interesting.
a
I
man,
didn't even
twice a
think about
child.
that. So as you get older, you think you start to lose some of that? Like, what happens there? Why does that? What happens there? How? My mind's like blown now. Is it?
Like, well,
What happens? Like,
I think it's more natural instinct. It's fight or flight. So that woman was threatened in some way. So her fight or flight, and she pushed the other woman.
yeah,
So she was fight. Sex, yeah, you want it, you're going to go get it.
yeah, absolutely. But like, do people revert? Is that what is happening as they get older, or
I mean,
they lose the ability to?
I will tell you, I have never seen two people age the same way. Every single person's trajectory is the same. And I think it's all that other stuff that's cooked up in there.
Yeah,
There's just not as much filter for it, or there's the inability to filter for it.
yeah. What you said earlier, we skipped past that point, but if you don't use it, you lose it. That part, you know, how you said about being active and reading. Those are things that I try to do. I wasn't like an avid reader as a kid, but now I try to read, just keep the mind going, play chess, play games, think a lot, even drawing, like anything to connect all your senses and just keep the motor running as long as you can.
Let me add one more to it. So if you don't use it, you lose it. Mind, body, sense of humor. The people that are aging the best are the ones that aren't taking shit so seriously.
Yeah.
Because guess what? Getting older is inevitably a series of losses. Like the person who lives, would you want to live to be 100?
Yeah,
Poof.
yeah.
All right, good on you.
I
Because
plan on doing squats at 100 and push-ups and curls and maybe running miles. Yeah, definitely. I plan on being that person.
all right. Well, I will be watching you from heavenly above because that will not be me.
Yeah.
People say, like, I kind of find that 84 is when, like, people are always like, oh, they aren't the golden years, they're the rusted years. Da, 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 da. Shit starts to go sideways at about 84.
Yeah.
But I'm a quality over quantity person. And think about it, when you're 100, you have outlived most of your friends, if not all. Sometimes, and there's another segment, episode number 457 with Mandy, parents that outlive their kids. As a parent, can you think of anything worse than losing your child?
No.
It happens, and it's shocking how many people have unfortunately had to bury their children.
Yeah.
It's alarming, and it's
That
painful.
thought haunts me.
I know, and I'm sorry now that I've
okay.
planted that seed
No, it's
with
okay.
you.
All right.
But like, think about it. You're 100. Your kid might be 82.
Yeah. Yeah. For me,
Right?
because I'm a little bit older, I have to live long, you know, because I started late. So in order to see my kids, I got to live to be above 20.
All right. Well, $1.20,
Yeah.
and you probably could.
Yeah. Maybe.
All right.
Luckily.
But yeah, 100. But think about it. You can't. Most likely you can't drive. Big piece of your independence. You know, you're relying on other people to do things for you.
Yeah. Hopefully by then, maybe I can get the Neuralink and get some new eyes, you know, new vision.
Look at you.
You know.
You'd be Mr. Roboto.
Yeah, I think I'll be all right.
All right.
Get a new arm, all that stuff.
Anything is possible.
So I was going to ask you worst case scenario in a nursing home, but you explained some of them without me even asking you. I never even
Isn't
thought
that
that
crazy?
kind of stuff was happening. Yeah, that's
Oh, yeah.
unfortunate.
I mean, most people, I would say, you know, unfortunately, there can be great quality of life, but it all depends on what's important to you. Some people opt for home care. Some people opt for, nursing. Truly, I think most people, I kind of refer to nursing homes as like God's waiting room because they're not great, especially since the pandemic. Unfortunately, they're horrifically understaffed in a lot of ways. And, you really want to be that care dependent, ringing a bell for somebody to take you to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And it takes them an hour and a half to get to you.
Yeah, I guess if that's the case, then no. But the way I see myself at 100, I'm still getting after it out there. What can I say this? I'll try to wrap it up quick. But the person I was talking about, I'll just edit if so. But he is in a facility and he was having some mistreatment like that. And it's interesting because my first thought when he told me about it, I'm like, I just want to go out there and just point the person out.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I know that's not the way you're supposed to handle it. But in my mind, I'm thinking, it's like, I just don't understand how someone can treat an older person like that. Basically, what he told me is that he ended up sleeping in some of his, through the night. I'm like, that wasn't the picture that I had for him
And it's
when he told me he was there.
if I tell you, it is hard work to get, like, how much do you weigh?
Like 180.
All right, so you're a buck
175,
80.
Yeah.
Let's say your legs don't work because, you've had a stroke. You got a bum arm, now you got a bum wheel.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you're a buck 80, and you need to be from supine to sitting to transfer into a wheelchair, pushed into the restroom, up, transferred onto a toilet to do your business.
Yeah.
I will tell you that 99% of care communities, they say, well, you're in, it depends, just go there.
Yeah.
It is shocking and disgusting and sad, but those people aren't paid well. They're not supported well. Like, you might be a 2-person assist. Now they got to go running up and down the halls, begging a coworker to help you to get out of bed.
Yeah.
And
in the end, they're not getting paid well, so they probably don't give a shit.
It is.
I imagine it all boils down to that.
It is very sad. The people that do this work should be getting paid 20 times
Yeah.
what they are.
Yeah, absolutely. Them, teachers, and people that take care of children. Like,
Couldn't
they're the
agree
most
with you
important
more.
people.
Couldn't agree with you more. But if you ever see something about an older adult that you suspect is neglect, abuse, exploitation, or abandonment, there is older adult protective services. And if they're in a facility, there's always this person called an ombudsman, which is a weird, like, German name, that's like a third-party advocate that just comes in and says, and you can report something anonymously. Like, say if your friend said to you, like, this is what happened, this is, they might fear retaliation if they bring it. Because, again,
Okay,
they're
yeah.
care dependent.
Yeah, definitely.
And they, like you said, you wanted to go and point that person out. Now your friend is on that person's assignment that night.
Yeah.
You think he's getting cared for?
Yeah.
It's so gross to think of it that way, but you can always make anonymous calls, and then a third party goes in and investigates. And they might say, you know what, that is substantiated. That person is being an asshole to the people on that unit. We need to, like, redistribute that person or put them on, like, probation or whatever it is.
Yeah, what a system, man. What a world we live in, huh?
We could wax cynical about it, but we're not going to do it.
Yeah, everything's all about money, so everything ends up just being crazy at the bottom.
Great shit rolls downhill.
Yeah. So lastly, I want to ask you, how do you handle the stress of the work that you do?
How often would you see me at the gym?
Every day. You'd be there for long periods of time. Too.
That's because I was talking,
Yeah, you've been
remember?
there for a while,
But
too.
I did find that I would have to disconnect. I would have to go and do something that was not related to work. And I've always been that way. Like, whether it was, I would work a full work day and then go and sling fajitas at Tex-Mex to make ends meet. I would have to just go and do something totally different. A lot of times for me, it's like group fitness. I want to go and do something where somebody, to get out of my own head, tell me what to do. I want to take a class. I want to be told what to do. I want to be able to disconnect from whatever I was doing today that was emotionally heavy or taxing or hard or challenging. So I like to sort of cut it off, do something that's good for me, that takes me out of it. And then I read, I walk a lot, I listen to podcasts. It's a crazy one called The Awakened Avoidant. I don't know, listen to that. Yeah.
That's funny. I'm thinking about changing the name.
Really?
Yeah, it wasn't my first choice. Like I said, it was created with the person that I went into the venture with.
I think that
I was making concessions.
And I don't think you avoid anything. I think you...
Yeah, I didn't think so either.
No.
Personally, that was supposed to represent me, that thing. But I would say so to a T, but, the person had an idea and I just went with it. I like the way that the name sounds.
Yeah.
And I like the logo, but I don't really like the name.
Good alliteration, but let's go with barrier to entry. That fits you better.
Yeah.
Barrier to entry.
Yeah. Something a little catchier. The Awakened
Yeah.
Avoidant. Like, what is that really?
How about, what did you talk, you referenced hurdles earlier.
Yeah. What do you
Hurdles to healing.
got? Hurdles to healing? I like that too.
Hey.
Something different, right?
Awakened avoidant. I'm awake, but I don't know what I'm avoiding.
Yeah. I've never said the name to anyone and then been like, oh, yeah, I like that name. Everyone's just like, what the fuck does that mean?
So I'm going to end.
With?
Well, I'm going to end. I'm going to give you a compliment.
What do you got?
When you laugh, it's like the person making you laugh won the lottery.
Oh, yeah?
It's good.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't seem like it happens easily.
It depends, but no.
Right.
No.
So when you actually laugh,
Yeah.
but you should also laugh with your whole smile.
You think so?
Yeah,
You told me
because
that
you
before. What do
always
you
try
think?
to hide the gap in the
What do
teeth. You know that that's a mark of beauty.
I heard that before. I actually don't try to hide the gap. I don't have a problem with the gap. Or I would have got it fixed. You know, I felt like when people would say, like, you know, if they say, Sean, a black dude with the gap in his teeth, I'm like, yeah, that's me.
That's you.
Yeah, I
Well,
never had a problem with it.
you're BBS.
Yeah. And it wins. It used to win back in the day.
Pulling.
You know, yeah. The pull
All
was
right.
strong, so.
I dated a guy with a nice gap in the front teeth, too.
Oh, yeah?
Last name Vendetta.
Interesting.
Fuck, I almost married him. You know why?
Why?
Best seat in the restaurant. Everybody thought we were connected.
Oh, yeah?
Mob shit. Vendetta? You think you're not going to put me in the best seat in the house?
Yeah, yeah.
Might be
Interesting.
swimming with the fishes.
So you were there for the perks.
I mean, he had some perks, if you know what I mean.
Roger that. You're hilarious.
Edit!
Yeah, definitely cutting that. So I want to thank you very much for coming out. We had a nice long one. It went all over the place.
Whoa.
But I appreciate you.
Can I come back?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Miss Mandy Delp,
All day.
medical geriatric social worker.
Whatever. Call me if you need me. If you're getting older, I'm in your corner.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure.
Till next time.
Was that one of the more fun ones?
We'd like to thank you for tuning in to The Awakened Avoidant. We hope our convo has provided you with insight, inspiration, and healing energy. As you go about your week, let's continue to work together to heal ourselves and our community. Stay safe and continue to spread healing vibes wherever you go. Catch a new episode Wednesday weekly on all platforms.
Strawberry vinaigrette in my fridge. Made it from scratch, that's just what my life is. Picking my face and